Hey everybody, it's Palmer and I am back with my sort of evil champions for the Wrath of Ashardalon set. I have a Orc Shaman here and then a Duergar sort of captain. I painted these just to, I did them at the roughly the same time, but they have fairly different color schemes. I kept with the Duergar color scheme that I had before, although rather than just a series of grays and a lot of lightning, this guy actually has a lot more black than the prior one. And then for the Orc Shaman, he's very similar, although he's got a lot more brown because he's got this big brown bear, and so I've done this brown and highlighting kind of like I did the dire bears that I showed in an earlier video. I also, because these guys are sort of leaders, I tried to, not so much with the Duergar, I didn't really bling him out. I mean, he's got these bracers, which I did do some chainmail highlighting on the bracers. And he's got this nice black coat. But for the Shaman, he's holding a bit of like an artifact. I suppose if I was more familiar with the game, there may be something to it. I'm not sure. But it's got like a circular ring with like a lightning bolt. And so I kind of decked that out a little bit, you know, by doing quite a bit of highlighting on it. Both line highlighting and dry brushing, and then you can't really see it because of the light here. Maybe when I spin him around in a bit you might see his sword actually for the Orc has, I did some highlighting with chainmail on top of the lead belcher where the light would shine. So when I do turn him around you'll see that there's some metallic highlighting there. For the Orc Shaman, this guy's actual name is, looks like Crash. Yeah, Crash with an extra A and then C substituted, or a K substituted to C. Orc Storm Shaman. That would explain the lightning bolt in his medallion or artifact he has there. So I did do some highlighting there, you know, just on the top, and it probably lends to the shine a bit too, because the old GW chainmail is what I used, which is fairly metallic. It has a lot of metallic pigments in there. So as I can turn here, you can see I highlighted the bear pelt, you know, that he's wearing, as well as on his shoes. I've got a bit of his cloth that he's wearing over his pants. I've painted a different color here. Lots of dry brushing on this guy. There's some lead belcher in his armor underneath. Let's see here. I did do a fair bit of highlighting on his skin. I used wog flesh initially, and then I highlighted it with a lighter green color, and I'll show the colors later. And so I'll just spin this guy around one more time here. I toyed with the idea, and I actually did buy some blood. It's basically Tamaya clear red, which I've seen videos where people use it to make blood effects. I toyed with the idea of making this guy really bloody, but this is a kind of a game I'm going to be playing with my kids, and as opposed to some of the Warhammer 40k where I can really kind of make it really brutal looking. I mean, it would have worked pretty good to actually have some blood dripping down on here, and, you know, or something like that, because he's an orc. But I held off. For this guy, I'm going to experiment with that on future videos. And this is the Duergar. He is the Duergar captain, and his name Margrath, Duergar captain. And so he's got. I gave him a black coat, and I did some dry brushing there to show the details on the coat. He's got like dark gray pants, brown boots, this red sort of armor and cloth in the front, you know, for underneath the coat, like sort of a chest piece. Bracers, I used lead belcher, and on the tip of the mace. It's funny, I had a little bit of trouble with his head, and maybe I'll just take a second here. I normally haven't been doing this, but talk a little bit about technique. Sometimes when you dry brush, you actually, I have found personally, and other people may have different experiences and that's fine, but I have found that when dry brushing, when sometimes using a paint that's a little bit more liquid than sort of, not even necessarily cakey, but just a thicker paint, and to give you an example, this Celestra Gray, which is it's a bit greener than this Model Air Light Gray, so they're not the same paint, but when I first dry brushed with this, which is what I've typically been doing, what I did with the other ones, I got very much like a chalky appearance on the head. And that is, I think, a normal problem that people can experience with dry brushing. It's not like atypical. But I especially get it when I use very liquid paints. And so I've found, you know, as much as I'm a fan of, and you can, you know, I use a lot of the Vallejo paints, I've found that given Vallejo or my stock GW paints that I started with, that I like the GW paints better for dry brushing personally. Still have to make sure it's mostly off the brush and that, you know, you're barely applying it, for those of you that are familiar with dry brushing. But what I ended up doing, in order, you know, that chalky appearance, I'm sure there are folks that can give lots of advice in getting rid of it. What I did is, after getting a really chalky appearance with this, I just came in and I repainted the head with a dark sea gray right on top of that, and that immediately blends that chalky appearance away. And it made the head much darker, but then I was able to come in and then use this Celestra Gray and dry brush and get the kind of effect that I was hoping for, which is just the lightning, you know, to show detail, but not like a real chalky look. So yeah, just, you know, interested in other people's experiences too with all this, but it did come out the way I was hoping for. And so now, as usual, I will show the step-by-step progression with the paints that I used. And next up, which I've already started, are the heroes from Ashardalon. Take care, everybody. Oh, and by the way, I did get a comment on my intro being not as exciting as it could be, and I appreciate that actual advice. And so I did kind of make a little bit of an intro video that's just a little bit different, so interested in everybody's thoughts. Okay, catch you later.